Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the AutoTrader Podcast, South Africa's #1 motoring podcast. My name is George Mienie and joined as usual by none other than Wandile Sishi. Hey, Wandi.
Hello, in the studio again.
In the studio again, yes. Yeah. We're starting to bring people back from their homes.
Yeah, slowly but surely the office is getting a little bit more lively and a little bit more happy. So,
are you due for your booster shot yet for the vaccine?
I am. I actually wanted to go next week to go get it done, just because I'm seeing a lot more people now. So,
yeah, I got an SMS probably about a week or two ago, where Discovery said to me, it's time. So I need to actually make a plan and go. It's been on my mind for a couple of days, so I need to actually go. I got jabbed on the left arm the first time, right arm the second time. So I don't know, maybe put it in the leg this time.
yeah. Where else can they go?
Yeah, exactly.
Butt cheek is also an option. Who knows?
I'm not so sure with the open cubicles that they have. I'm going to be doing it in my butt cheek, but okay. All right. So on to something else very interesting. How do you like the look of the new F1 cars?
I absolutely love them. I like that they're a bit shorter. I like that they're a bit kind of stockier. I like the size of the new rims.
Those rear wings are so futuristic.
They are.
Hey?
Yeah.
It's not like
even with the DRS, it's just.
But the DRS opens in I didn't expect it when I first saw it. I saw, geez, this is a gaping hole now. Previously, you couldn't even see the DRS open so well.
Yeah, because it looked like two wings before, but now it's I actually thought there would be no DRS in the new cars just because of the way they were shaped. But these cars are getting so advanced now that the sky's the limit.
Exactly. So, so I'm looking forward to this season.
Ferrari's looking pretty hot. So
well, in testing they weren't on top, but they seem to be looking good. What do you think about the wheel covers? What are those wheel covers?
I'm not sure what the purposes of them are, but I mean,
must be aerodynamics.
Must be to filter air somehow. Surely.
Let's check. We're in new wheel covers F1 2022. Let's see what it says. Yeah, the rim covers used in the 2022 will be a far cry from the complexity that we've seen in the past, as the teams will have to influence their design in order so that they don't use them to damage the overall intent of the inclusion. F1 wheel rim covers are banned. That's interesting. I just thought, alongside the much vaunted return of ground effect concept in the revival of wheel rim covers, F1 hopes
it's just downforce, really.
These will help to smooth turbulence. No, well,
almost like an EV, basically. Same kind of.
Yeah.
Same kind of concepts.
Yeah, the rim covers used in 2022 will be a far cry from the complexity of what we've seen in the past, though. The teams will have to little influence over the design. I suppose the F1 bosses will dictate what the design looks like in order that they don't use them to damage the overall intention of their inclusion. So this is like a trip down memory lane, because a decade or so ago, I think they used to use 1990. There we go, 1990
covers,
in Monza. They used it to reduce drag. So I suppose that's what it's for.
Basically, same as EVs.
Yeah. So exactly the same as EVs. So just take the petrol engine out.
No, don't ever do that, please. I beg you. So what are you talking about today?
Well, today is the insurance episode, and the reason it's the insurance episode is because there seems to have been an increase in car insurance claims being rejected in South Africa. So we want to kind of dig into why, what are the reasons, and then also how dash cams can help you, depending on your insurer, and and then some tips on how to get the best insurance premium. So let's dig right into it. The issue, if we had to unpack the issue, is the Ombudsman for Short-Term Insurance, OSTI, the Ombudsman. We'll just refer to them as the Ombudsman for Insurance in this episode, but revealed that the rising number of car accident claims are being rejected on the basis of reasonable precautions. So that seems to be the...
Reasonable precautions is such a strange term, specifically when speaking about something like insurance. I think everyone hates dealing with insurance. Have you ever had a scenario where you had to deal with insurance and it was just a nightmare?
Touch wood, my insurance claims have been windscreen chips, replacement of windscreens, that kind of thing. So, I haven't personally had to go through this, but in my lifetime, having to, having led business like AutoTrader for the last 18 years, we've been in kind of legal situations, and the word reasonable and in contractual situations and commercial situations, the word reasonable is such a subjective term.
You can't really fight it if they say reasonable.
You weren't reasonable on what basis? So reasonable is such a subjective term, and I would imagine that this is a difficult one for insurers to prove, number one, and difficult for insureds to
kind of get their claims.
Refute or to get their claims, exactly. So it's being rejected on the basis of what's called reasonable precautions, and the Ombudsman had a trend report go out in 2021 that showed this surge. So this clause, reasonable precautions, requires that the insured must use all reasonable care and take reasonable precautions to prevent or minimize loss, damage, death, injury, or liability. The breach of the clause by the insured may warrant the rejection of the claim. I mean, what do you think?
So what I'm understanding from that is that essentially the insurers believe, or they have the evidence at least, you'd hope, that the driver in this case is acting recklessly. So they're not being reasonable within the terms of the agreement.
Why not say that though? Why say take reasonable precautions rather than saying?
Because I think reasonable precaution can be tough to prove in a scenario where, for instance, you having to avoid a child who's running across the streets and you are moving faster than the speed limit. I think you're still at fault in that scenario. Even though you were doing the right thing, I still think that it's reasonable for them to reject your claim based on the fact that if you looked at the entire situation of how you were behaving, you don't deserve to get it. So it can be subjective. I don't think you can set rules for insurance claims sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a difficult world to navigate. When you're insuring a car as an insurer and you don't know what went through the mind of that driver at the time.
Exactly.
We'll get to an example a little bit later on that I think is quite a good example of this scenario. But the rejections for a number of reasons, and the chief reason for rejections is due to motorists in terms of this reasonable precautions. The reason that comes up the most, according to the Ombudsman, is drivers driving over the speed limit at the time of the accident.
Yeah, and I can believe that. I think we're having a conversation just before this, and I think I was saying, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that there's a lot more motorists on the roads now. People should be a lot more careful, first and foremost, with regards to the fact that it's a lot more busy. You need to kind of reevaluate how you're driving during the time of the pandemic versus now, because there's a lot more people, it's a lot more trickier, and there's going to be scenarios where you have to exercise precaution and exercise evasive action in instances. It's just different now.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to emphasize that I don't think insurers are being unfair. I think there's just more instances now as a result.
So, I mean, even although the insurance companies are rejecting this claim mainly on the chief basis that the driver was driving over the speed limit at the time of the accident, the insurer must still prove that the motorist was in fact speeding when the accident occurred.
And how would you do that? What is the course that you can prove that?
Well, it seems that insurers are downloading vehicle data from the vehicle, right? Because most onboard computers now are, recording things that are happening. So they download data from the actual vehicle itself. Yeah. Vehicle tracking. So if you've got vehicle tracking, it will be
definitely helpful.
It'll be helpful to the insurer. And here's another subjective one: accident experts.
What's an accident expert?
They reconstruct the accident.
The accident, okay.
Yes. So you can imagine you hit a tree, for instance, right? An accident expert in reconstruction could reasonably calculate how fast you were going. So, for instance, skid marks, length of skid marks, darkness of the skid mark where it starts to lighten as you slow down and as the wheel starts getting traction again.
The length,
all that stuff. And I mean, that's just skid marks. But how hard, so if let's say you hit a pavement, right? And your rim is damaged.
Yeah, the impact, how much the force essentially
necessary in order for your rim to buckle the way it's buckled can be calculated mathematically.
Yeah.
So it's not so in many instances, while subjective, it's actually mathematical.
I have a funny story. I don't know how this is going to impact my insurance in the future, but I had an accident a few years back. I was driving, and yeah, I mean, it was not great. It was fairly bad, to say the least. And my insurance was very kind, to be fair. I think they were like much nicer than I thought they would. So I think they are reasonable with regards to this. Well,
scenario. They want you as a client in the future too. Hey? So
yeah,
you've got to take that into account. It's not just trying to do the consumer in.
Yeah.
If you do have an insurer like that, I'd rather move.
I don't think they had any accident experts to analyze that, because I was not gonna for sure I was definitely not gonna get my
claim. Okay, all right, let's not talk
need
about
I say
that. We won't go there.
Look, I told the truth, I didn't lie. It's just, I think this reasonable, what's this clause, what's it called, reasonable I forgot now.
Let me remind you, it's
reasonable precautions.
Reasonable precautions.
Yeah, I didn't think I was being the most reasonable in that scenario. I think they were very kind, so you can still talk to them, and if they're nice.
Yeah, I mean, they still want you as a client, but I mean, you can't act like an idiot.
Yeah.
So if the claim is rejected by the motorist and the motorist lodges a dispute with the ombudsman, it will have to consider the evidence of speeding to determine whether it's reliable or not. So the reliability of the record needs to prove itself. The vehicle's onboard computer and vehicle tracking reports are usually sufficient evidence for the insurer to reject the claim.
Okay, so they do deep dives into
the data.
Okay.
So for this to happen, though, the insurer must prove that the motorist was driving negligently. Not negligently, but rather recklessly. So if there's a bit of negligence, right, that's not the point they're trying to prove. They're trying to prove recklessness. And there needs to be a convincing argument to which the driver could reasonably have foreseen a possibility of an accident.
Okay.
So would a reasonable person doing what you're doing have foreseen an accident?
Okay.
And if the answer to that's yes, then the rejection comes.
Okay. And that's what we're seeing most. And you're saying speeding is always going to be speeding.
Yes, I mean, here's a real life example. There was a case at the ombudsman where the driver acted recklessly after he hit a tree at 104 kilometers an hour in a 60 zone.
That's painful.
Now you're doing more than 50% over the speed limit.
Yeah.
So you hit a tree at 100. The driver claimed that it was an unfamiliar road. Listen how he digs his own hole. He was driving on an unfamiliar road.
Yeah.
Visibility was poor at night. The street lights weren't working.
You're asking for an accident.
Exactly. And now you're over the speed limit. Come on, do me a favor.
You're asking for an accident and you're going to get rejected. Yeah.
So all of that existed and you still decided to speed.
Yeah.
You made a decision to speed. You don't speed by accident.
Exactly.
Even if it is dark. Pun.
Yeah. Even if it is a dark road, I mean, more reason to slow down.
To slow down, and this dude didn't.
Yeah.
So then when he approached the intersection and from the left, coming up to the intersection, he saw a car. He took evasive action, caused the vehicle to lose control, and he collided with a tree. So,
I hope he's okay. I mean, if
first of all, that's important. But the ombudsman found that just on observations alone, like we were saying, the insured should have exercised caution in regulating his own speed.
Yeah, first and foremost.
Yes,
that would have been
like it's dark.
Yeah,
unfamiliar road.
Yeah,
no lights.
You can firstly avoid the accident because you're driving slower, so you can slow down and avoid any accident in the first place. But if you do crash, then
you're going to get paid.
You're not being reckless, at least.
Yes, exactly.
Makes sense.
So on the matter of probability, the insured's conduct was also found to be the cause of the accident.
Yeah.
Because he was speeding and he was going towards an intersection. So if he had observed the regulated speed, he would have been in a better position to see the intersection, to stop, or to safely execute the turn. Which I think there he was being reckless.
So, to summarize the point, this strange increase in rejection of claims is reasonable.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like every case is different. Obviously, it's just. I mean, the facts are that insurance claim rejections are rising.
Yeah.
So I suppose what we're trying to do is we're trying to appeal to consumers to be more cautious. You said it right at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, there's more people on the road. There's more cars on the road. You know, we're coming out of these lockdowns. People aren't used to driving. You know, it's a recipe for or the chance of you being in an accident is a lot higher now. Yes.
Let's put it like that.
I mean, the other day I came to the office here and I was like, okay, traffic will be okay. I've been coming to the office, you know, now and again for the last couple of weeks, you know, and I was gridlocked. I was like, what on earth is going on? Has everybody come back to work at the same time? So it seems to be a lot more traffic now.
Quick question. I don't know if you know this, but potholes. I know there's now, you can get like pothole cover, but in a scenario where an accident because of a pothole, you're driving, let's say 58 in a 60 zone, and a giant hole has now appeared, and you swerve and crash into somebody else. What scenario do you think happens in that instance? Do you need to have pothole cover, or is it still within the, you know, you being reasonable, not reckless?
No, I mean, what is pothole? What does your normal insurance not cover when you hit a pothole? Why do you need extra pothole insurance?
I don't know. I just honestly, I can't. I've never seen or been in a scenario where I've had like actually hit a pothole and had to claim.
I have.
And you had to claim?
I didn't claim.
Okay.
I just lost a tire. That's about it. So I didn't claim. I hit a pothole. It was at night. This was maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I was driving a C-Class Mercedes.
Yeah.
Hit a pothole at night. I didn't stop. That's what stuffed up the tire. I drove on the flat tire to the next filling station because it was in a dark, dangerous area.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the pothole. I was coming around a bend, and next minute I just felt the pothole. Front left tire burst. Drove to the garage that was probably about 300 meters away. Stopped there.
Change the tire.
Yeah, you know, and the one thing I must say about South African petrol attendants, we don't give them enough kudos.
No, they do everything.
Like those guys, seriously, there was about 5 of them because obviously it's at night. The filling station is quiet. Like literally, I took out a blue note and gave it to them because
they just went above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Like I couldn't believe how much they helped me because you know they were like out the jack, the tire out. They were flipping taking.
It's like a pit crew, yeah.
It was like it was exactly like a freaking Formula 1 pit crew. I was like, I had my own pit crew. If I, you know, if cell phones the way they were back then today, I would have taken a flipping video of this and shown everyone. But I know we're going on a bit of a tangent, but
because I do know some of the pothole cover that is out now is for tires, but in a scenario where your car is inside the hole, will your insurance still
inside the hole?
I saw a video. I saw a video of literally a car inside like
a pothole. You should see some of the potholes where I live.
This must be a Joburg problem because it hurts me.
Well, the last couple of months of rain, I mean, we've had some serious rain. The damage to the roads are unbelievable. So I mean, I would imagine that any kind of accident, really, your insurance is going to cover it. You know, pothole is an unforeseen thing. You couldn't have. Like again, if you were going over the speed limit and it could be reasonably proven that you could have, like you're doing 160 zone, and if you were doing 60, you would have been able to avoid the pothole.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a rejection there waiting to happen.
For sure.
You know, from an insurer. And don't complain if you were doing above the speed limit.
So same rules apply, essentially.
I would imagine. I mean, I'm no insurance expert, but let's get on to dash cams.
Do you have a dash cam? Does your car record by any chance? I know some cars do now.
No, there's a lot of EVs do now, but mine doesn't. I think dash cams are useful. I don't have one. I should get one. I've got a dash cam because I've got a GoPro in the car.
Yeah.
So effectively, I suppose that's a dash cam. But unless when I get stopped by police, I must just tell you this. So when I get stopped by police infrequently. Okay. And I think the EV is just something that people want to see. So, they stop me, check the license disc. But when they look into the window and they see the GoPro facing me, because I put it's recording and I'm putting content in, it's funny how it changes the behavior.
How does it change the behavior? If it would be pointing outwards, I would imagine the bribe conversation doesn't happen first and foremost. But if it's pointing inside, how does it change?
Well, it's facing out the window so that it records me and everything they say.
I see.
So it's not pointing forward.
So same scenario, I would assume. It just becomes a little bit more nice.
Well, yeah. I've noticed that they're quite sweet to me, but I'm also not a jackass to them.
Of course.
I think a lot of these altercations with the police is because the actual driver stops and it's just an
I can almost guarantee that's almost don't be his job.
Don't be a plonker. I mean, really, just the guy's doing his job. They've always, even when there's no GoPro in the car, they've always been nice to me. I've never had a situation where they've been funny to me. So there's a way to get around it. Anyway, let's talk about dash cams.
And the impact on
your insurance. Yes. So Discovery. Discovery does not take dash cams into account in your premium.
That kind of shocks me. That kind of shocks me in the sense that I think you need to finish why. It makes sense later on, in my opinion.
Well, so they do take into account a case where you've personally taken out insurance, not business insurance, where the dash cam at the claim stage, the footage can be used to your advantage. In terms of proving who was at fault. So they do take it into account at claims stage, but you don't get a reduction in premiums.
Makes sense. I think honestly, I'd be okay with that. I know in Russia, for instance, they dash cams are everything. I think it's part of your insurance.
I can't believe you actually mentioned that word, Russia.
The circumstances are different, But I know in Russia when you get insurance, you have to.
Yeah, there's. I mean, how many
YouTube videos
are amazing with
meteorite showers that you see off of that,
planes missing cars and stuff. Yeah, but OutSurance said that the dash cam will benefit the client's insurance premiums. Okay,
so Discovery says it won't decrease your premium,
but it'll be taken into account in your claim stage.
OutSurance is saying it can actually decrease your premium and help you in your claim stage.
And help you with claim stage. King Price says it doesn't offer discounts for installing a dash cam, but that having one can indirectly affect the premium. Dash cam footage can act as an extra witness. So again, the same as Discovery. Downstream claim stage.
Okay.
And then My Way said that currently it doesn't offer discounts. So word currently
means they might be working on
something that could offer discounts. But they do for business and commercial plans, which is not personal lines insurance as the term goes.
So if you're a logistics company, for instance, a dash cam can be really helpful. Actually, it makes sense in getting the premium down quite substantially.
So let me ask you.
Let's go.
Very quickly. Couple of ways to reduce your insurance premium.
10 ways. AutoTrader has very extensive articles on insurance and basically getting your premiums down. So one of our lovely journalists has actually worked on...
Where do we find that? News and reviews?
News and reviews. You'll find everything there. Just or just Google AutoTrader and insurance. You'll definitely find it there. But 10 quick ways. Vehicle choice. So one of the greatest contributors in reducing your premium. The car that you have, naturally it makes sense. If it's more expensive car, it's gonna have a higher premium. If it's a cheaper car, it's gonna have a less premium. Makes sense. Also your risk profile. So they don't just factor the vehicle's risk. So if it's gonna get stolen or higher theft.
Your personal risk. So it's car independent, effectively.
Exactly that.
So if you've been driving like a moron and you've had insurance claims as a result of being over the speed limit, the insurance company's going to take that into account.
Exactly. Number 3, improve your
risk
credit
profile. Risk goes up if you're younger, right?
Yes, I think Mine has been changing over the years.
Yes. So as you're getting older, your insurance premium is
going
coming down because you start driving like a grandpa.
So they say. So they say. The next one is improve your credit score. So essentially, just watch your debts, and you'll be in a better position. Shop around and see what other options.
It's interesting that credit score is part of that insurance premium, because it might go to, well, if you're reckless with your finances, you could be reckless in
I think it ties back to the previous one of your risk
profile.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay.
Number 5 is driver training. So a lot of people don't know this, but if you do advanced driving or some sort of course,
this is a very good one.
You can reduce your risk. Yeah,
I've heard that this can have quite a good impact on your insurance.
Definitely. Also, a few insurers have specialized products. So, for instance, we're talking about Malway. They do have a product where you can get a dash cam, for instance. Those sort of things that you can kind of use to your advantage.
Well, Malway said that they don't have a discount for dash cams.
Well, specialized, they do have for a Malway integrated dash cam solution. So I think it's...
maybe they've got a special product.
Yeah, special products or a special installation, for instance, that would give you the benefits. Where are we? Number 7, vehicle safety system. So fitting any sort of tracker device, any sort of, basically anything that's going to help your claim and make sure and validate the information that you're giving them. So it's going to help. Modify your access. I'm not really sure what this is, but I think it's over time you can start modifying your plan.
Well, if you push up the risk to yourself financially, which is pushing your excess up, your premium comes down as a result of that. Because what excess does is it transfers more of the financial risk onto you.
In the scenario where you do actually have to claim.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you've got, like, let's say your excess is now 5% and you move it up to 10% of the value of the vehicle, or the value of the claim, the insurer is going to give you a better premium because you're taking on more of the risk.
100%. Then one that's a fan favorite for me is definitely having multiple items buckled into one insurance. Yeah.
And then lastly,
just ask. Have a conversation.
This
be nice.
one, I can't tell you. My insurer, every single year, they push my insurance premium up. And I go back to them and I say to them, nope.
XYZ, yeah.
Car has depreciated. I don't want an increase. And more often than not, they come back with at least half that increase.
I was telling one of our colleagues that I have a wonderful relationship with my insurer.
Sounds like it.
I'm just gonna leave it there. But whenever I speak to them and tell them my what's happening in my life, they always come with products, of course, but they always give me really reduced prices on things that are really important. So have the conversation. So at the end of the day, that's all we have time for, ladies and gentlemen. Watch your speed limit, because that seems to be the biggest reason for the rejection. So that has been the AutoTrader Podcast, and my name is George Mienie, and joined by Wandile Sishi. See you next time.